Hello, artists. I'm so excited today that we're going to be working together to create a Pablo Picasso inspired mask. So we're going to learn a little bit about Picasso first, and then we're going to get busy making this mask. Picasso was born in 1881 in Spain, and when he was only 13 years old, he entered the Barcelona Academy of Fine Arts. When he was 19, he moved to Paris because he was looking for new ideas for his art. This is a picture of him when he was 19, and then here's one of him when he was a young boy. He was very talented even as a little boy. Here's another picture of him when he was an older man. Picasso is famous for his blue period, which is a time in his life when he was very sad because one of his friends had died. But here are three of the pictures from that period, and here are a few more. In this period of his life, he painted with mostly one color. When you paint with one color, it's called monochromatic. Mono means one. That's the prefix that means one. So whenever you hear mono in front of something, you know it means one of something. And in this case, he used mostly blue with a little bit of green. Here is a picture that he painted a little bit later of a friend of his. This one's called The Poet. And if you look closely, you can see that the features of the poet's face and his body, but it's hard to tell just by looking at it quickly. It looks just almost like an abstract of just shapes, doesn't it? Well, I got to see this painting at the Peggy Guggenheim Museum in Venice, Italy when I was there a few years ago, and it was really exciting to me to see it in person. Here are a few portraits that Picasso painted of his good friend Dora Maar. Now, Picasso loved to paint ladies, and he had lots of girlfriends. This is just one of his girlfriends. He painted her, the most famous one is the one on the left. He painted in 1941. And this one is one of the most expensive paintings that has been sold of his. In 2006, it sold for $95 million at auction. And this one's called Dora Maar au Chat. Now that's French for Dora Maar, and then au means with. And can you guess what chat means? Well, if you drop the H, you'll get a big hint. That's right, it's Dora Maar with cat. And if you look on her shoulder, you can see there's a little kitten sitting there. On the left, you can see another painting that I got to see of Picasso's at the Peggy Guggenheim Museum in Venice. It's an interesting one as well. It's called The Half-Length Portrait of a Man in a Striped Jersey. And you can see that Picasso's painting in the Cubist style in this artwork. The Cubist style breaks things down into geometric shapes like cubes, and it kind of tries to show a person from different angles all at the same time. On the right, you see a picture of Picasso in his Paris studio. It's kind of fun to see him surrounded by his artwork, isn't it? Picasso's Dove of Peace is another famous work, mainly because it was chosen as the first International Peace Conference emblem in 1949. This is a painting or a sketch that he did of a dove or a pigeon that was given to him by his great friend and rival, the French artist Henri Matisse. The three paintings on the right are some of his famous Cubist paintings, and the one on the left gives you the contrast of how his artwork changed. He really loved to try new things. He tried lots of different styles during his lifetime, and The three on the right are the Cubist style, and the one on the left was done during his blue period. He also loved to paint animals, and here are 3 animal paintings that he did: the bullfight, the rooster, and the cat devouring a bird. Now, when I was in Paris a few years ago, I got to see the cat devouring the bird and lots of other Picasso paintings at the Picasso Museum in Paris. That was really exciting to me to get to see so many of his works, including his paintings and sculptures. But I love all 3 of these animal works. Here are a few of Picasso's self-portraits. Now, it's exciting to see his self-portraits because they're so different. If you look down across the bottom of this screen, you can see that when he was 15, he painted himself very realistically. And notice how much the way he was painting changed when he was 25, 10 years later. And in the one on the right, you see a painting that he did when he was 89 years old. The other 2 paintings in this screen were painted in the same year. The one on the left was painted just before his good friend died, and the one on the right was painted after his friend's death. And you can see that he used blue to express his sadness over the death of his friend. Now we're going to have some fun doing our own creation of a Picasso-inspired face done in the Cubist art style. And so you see in these paintings here, the 2 on the left were not done by Picasso, but the 2 on the right were. And you can see that he has moved things around on the face, that you can have some fun with how you're going to draw these faces and just do your own thing, right? So here's another one that he painted on the left, and here's a mask on the right, and we're going to be doing something like that. We're going to just have some fun with a mask. So gather your supplies and see if you have something to add color. Grab a piece of paper and meet me back here, okay? Now that you've got your supplies, it's time to get started. Here are 2 of the examples that I have created for you. This is one that I did with purely crayon. If you're using crayon, you'll want to, after we do our sketch, you'll want to color everything in before you add the outline, because the crayons tend to pick up the black and pull it into, you'll have little black streaks, especially noticeable in the lighter areas. And this one is done with a oil pastel outline in black, and then watercolor paints. Here's another one that I did with a oil pastel black background and watercolor paints as well. So let's get started by first creating our sketch, something like this. I'll put these 2 to the side and we'll get going on our sketch. Now, first I'm going to start at the top, and I want to use up my whole paper. I don't want to leave a lot of blank areas because we want to make this a mask, so it's got to be nice and big. I'm going to start with the top of a triangle at the top. It doesn't have to be perfect, but something like that, and then 2 lines coming down on the sides, and then a big V down at the bottom. After that, you can choose where you want your eyes to be. So maybe you want a football-shaped eye coming up here at the top, and then another football-shaped eye down here near the bottom. And it doesn't have to be straight, it can be sideways, right? You see how I placed them on this one? I'm going to do a little different on this one. Just have some fun with it. Now on the inside, I'm going to go ahead and draw the sides of a circle and a circle. Now I'm putting the the circle of the inside of my eye, the iris, and then the pupil inside that. Or you can leave it with no pupil. Maybe the eye's closed, like in this drawing. Maybe you want to leave the eye closed. Then I'm going to add an eyebrow here with kind of a triangle top, I think. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side, but this time I'm going to put it underneath just for fun. Put my eyebrow underneath. Like that. Then I think I'm going to add some lines inside, just for fun, kind of a striped thing in here. One more there, and here, stripes. And again, they don't have to be perfect. After that, I'm going to add a nose. Now, sometimes Picasso put his nose in unusual places and even gave kind of a side view of a nose. So I think this time I'm going to make a side view of a nose like this. Here's my nose. And maybe I'll just put a little oval here to show that it's the nose. Then I'm going to go ahead and add the mouth. The mouth has a little dip at the top, I think. It goes right off the side of the mask. I'm going to erase where my mouth goes off the side of the mask here and put a line down the middle of my mouth. All right, now I've got my main features, my eyes, nose, and mouth. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more lines here. I'm going to bring a line straight down here and bring another line. Maybe I'll bring it from the eye down. Skip over the mouth, just for fun. Then, let's see. I think I'll come across here. Maybe just go right off the side there and here, right off the side. Now that I've got the basics, I'm going to add some patterns. Now, Picasso liked to have patterns sometimes, but I want to just add some really simple, fun patterns. He had some fun patterns in some of his work. I want to have some too. So I think here maybe I'll add a double circle design here. And not always the same double circle. And sometimes my double circle goes behind the mask and off the page. Put one here in the corner as well. And I'm also going to add a stripe design back here. I'm going to have some wide stripes, I think, over on this side, going right off the page. Then I think up here at the top, I'm just going to have some fun with it. I'm going to make a swirl kind of line like that. Then I'm going to do another one that goes off the side like that. Comes on the page like this. Kind of in different directions, the same little swirl just coming out from different directions. And lastly, I think I'm going to add some flowers over here. Now, you don't have to use the same patterns that I did in mine. I'm going to put circles in between the flowers, I think. You can if you want to, but you can add your own fun designs. What's something you like? Let your artwork reflect what you love. And one more over here. Just kind of going off the side here. I'm in a circle here. All right. Maybe a half circle coming, disappearing behind there. So we've got our basics done. Now it's time for us to start adding color or our black outline. So if you're going to be using crayon, you'll want to start with your bright colors. If you're going to be using just a black crayon to outline and adding watercolors, you can start with your black outline. If you're going to use a black Sharpie, that's another option. You can outline with that first as well and then get to your watercolor paints or get to your crayon after the black Sharpie. Your choice. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to be using a black crayon, just a regular black crayon. I'm going to start outlining, and don't be afraid to just jump right in there because, hey, you're creating your own masterpiece, and it doesn't really matter if it's perfect. And art is just like so many other things. You need to practice to get better, and so I want you to practice a lot of art. This is just one fun project that you can start with. Cover up every pencil line with your crayon. Black is a great contrast color, and when you're outlining things with black, it really makes the colors that go around the black pop. When I get to the pupil, I think I'm going to color that in. The pupil is the center of your eye. The center of your eye is always black. And a lot of people have different color iris. But the pupil is the part that lets the light in so you can see. Just connected this part of the eyebrow down here so it will block off a different area for a different color here. Sometimes little bits of wax get on your paper. Just dust those off. It's no big deal. And you can outline any other details you want to. All of these don't have to be outlined, and if you want to, you can outline them with other colors. Like instead of black, I might want to outline these with purple or blue or something else. But I'm going to go ahead and outline everything with black today. Crayons are made of wax, and the wax is really cool because it creates a wax resist with your watercolors if you're using watercolors today. The wax will not mix with the water, so that watercolor will be pushed away from wherever the wax is. So it makes it easier to keep your watercolors in the lines when you've got a wax border. It's like a dam to keep the water from moving around on your paper. All right, so once you've got your artwork outlined, then you're ready to start adding your paints. Now, if you're coloring now, you might be ready to add your black outline, like on this one. Now that it's time to paint, I need to think about the colors I'm going to use. Now, when I'm choosing colors, I want to choose some colors that are very different from each other to create some contrast. Notice that I have blue and orange here. If we look at the color wheel, blue and orange are across from each other on the color wheel. And when two colors are across from each other, that means they're complementary colors. Complementary colors complement each other. They look good together. They're the highest contrast colors other than black and white against your colors. So blue and orange look good beside each other. Up here I have kind of a pinkish reddish color next to my green. And if you'll notice, once again, red is across from green on the color wheel. And so I have complementary colors again beside each other. So those really look nice, a nice contrast. They look good together. They make a great contrast. They help me to keep my design. They help my design to really pop. So I'm going to get started with the lightest color. Usually when I'm using watercolors, I like to start with light colors. And I think in this case, I'm going to put my light colors in the background. And cool thing about using watercolor paints is that you can go right over your crayon, and the crayon's going to push back from it, so I can keep going right over my crayon. And I can even go in the middle of this design, and I'll be able to add another color later in there if I use a very pale color when I'm getting started. I'm going to move over to another pale color. I'm going to use a very pale pink down here in this section. And again, I'm just going to go right over the design that I've drawn here. Then I'm going to move over to another pale color, and I'll go ahead and paint this part up here with another pale color. All right. Then I'm going to move over to my stripes, and I'm going to paint my every other stripe a different color here. I'm going to start with this kind of a tan and paint every other stripe with that tan. Tan is a neutral, and this one's a little bit golden tan, so it's a little yellowish, but it's a very neutral color, so I could use almost any color next to it. But since it has a little bit of a golden tint to it, I think I'm going to put purple in between, because remember our color wheel? Remember that purple and yellow, golden, this is kind of a golden yellow, so purple and yellow are good complements. As you can see right here, the purple and yellow are straight across from each other. Complementary colors. So I'm going to put purple. Just fill that in. For those stripes. Okay, and while I've got purple on my brush, I'm going to come right back up here to this yellow, and I'm going to fill in these designs up here with purple. This is a very pale yellow up here. It's not the golden yellow, but again, the pale yellow and the purple look good together. It's kind of a dark purple too. Another way to show contrast is by using a dark value of color next to a lighter value. That's another way to show color. Having a dark value next to a lighter value is another way to show contrast. So let's go ahead and add some more color. I'm going to still have that purple, so I'm going to just add some purple down in here and use up some of this purple on my brush while I've got it here. I may come and do these little stripes in purple in the eyebrows, and you can use whatever color you want when you're doing yours. This is just one choice. All right. Now I think I'm going to move over to some blue, and I'm going to start painting the face. I'm going to fill in this part of my face with blue. I've got a very pale yellow here that this blue is beside. So I've got kind of a medium blue. Medium or dark blue would look really good next to that pale yellow. I try to get plenty of water on my brush. So another way to add great contrast in your artwork is using warm and cool colors. Now if we look back over at our color wheel, if I cover up this half, what you see here are my cool colors. The cool colors are the colors you think about when you think about a cool green grass or the cool blue water. Then if I cover up the other half of the page, I see my warm colors. My warm colors are the colors I think about when I think about a warm, sunny day at the beach. Yellow, orange, and red. So if I put a warm color next to my cool color, that also works out nicely. So I've got my blue here. So if I want to put a warm color next to it, what if I chose like a reddish orange down here as my next to my blue. Fill in this part. Remember that blue and orange are also complementary colors. They're directly across from each other on the color wheel, as you can see here, straight across from each other. So those are complementary colors. Everyone say complementary. So now that I've got the orange, I'm ready for another cool color. I've got cool, warm, cool. I think I'm going to go with, remember what my cools are? Cools are over here. I think I'm going to go with green. Green will be nice next to the purple, orange. I'm going to get a nice darker green or medium green, really. Go right in here. I'm also going to be adding some red lips. So the red being the complementary color to the green is really going to pop. That's going to be great. While I've got some green on my brush, I'm going to add some darker green dots here. And I'm going to put some green here around my purple circles, green circles. All right, now I'm ready for some red. I'm going to get some red on my brush, and I'm going to put that red right over here. Ooh, this is kind of a bright pinkish. This is more of a magenta than it is red. That's okay. Magenta, and pink is actually a light value of red. Value means how light or how dark a color is. And so using a light value of red, this is kind of a vivid light color of red, is fun too. It's going to be great. This is one of those little happy accidents. Sometimes when you do something that's not what you planned in the beginning, it turns out even better. And then that'll give you some ideas for the next time you're doing art. I think I'm going to keep that same color for the lips. That's a really fun, fun lip color. Bright magenta. It's a nice color. All right, do you remember what the complement to purple is? Straight across from purple right here, we have yellow. So I'm going to get some yellow. Oh, it looks like I still have a little magenta on my brush. I tried to, You want to try to clean your brush really good when you go from a dark to a light color. So my yellow is a little orangish yellow, because when you mix red and yellow you get orange, but it's kind of golden. I kind of like that color too. It's a little bit goldy. So I can get my gold in here, in between my purples. That's turned out really nice too, like that. Now you get to decide, oh, while I've got this on my brush, I'm going to come right up here to the center of my flowers. Put a little yellow in there. And you know what? I may go back to the magenta. I'm just loving this magenta. I think I might color this a really bright magenta, this one, and maybe this one I might do blue. Have all different color flowers up here just for fun. And while I've got the blue, I think I'm going to make one of my eyes blue. You know, the eyes, your eyes have a center part that we talked about earlier, that's the pupil, and then you have your iris. And people have different colors of irises, right? Most people have brown eyes, but some people have green or blue, or someone told me they had golden eyes. That sounds really cool too. But I think we're going to have different color eyes just for fun here. I think I'm going to make this other eye kind of green. Some people have green eyes, some people have blue, some people have brown or hazel. All right, I think I'm going to put a tiny bit of green in just to show the nostrils a little darker than the rest of the nose. And I think I'm happy with that. I want to see any little pot spots left white. And I hope you're happy with yours too. Now we have brand new Picasso inspired mask for you to have some fun with. Now you're all finished with your Picasso inspired mask. I'm so excited to see what you've done, and I'd love for you to leave a comment or post a picture to share with me of your own mask. And I hope you'll enjoy making more, because see, the sky's the limit. There's so many different fun things you can do with this project. So don't forget to subscribe so that you'll know whenever I put up a new video, and go ahead and enjoy your Picasso inspired mask.